Muhammad, Muhammad. Good to go. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد اللهم صل على وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome all of our online viewers as well as those of few who are present over here to this end of life rituals workshop. We did one back in 2014, so it was about 8 years ago. And as I was preparing these slides, I looked at the date. It was in July. It was in July sometimes, and back in 2014. So this is long overdue. And while a lot of inquiries are done regarding this, just wanted to quickly, go over some of the details, and then inshallah you'll get hands-on presentation by our Masjid-e-Ali funeral director, Murtaza Alidina, inshallah. One of the important things to know when, of course, death is inevitable. كل نفس ذائقة الموت ثم إلينا ترجعون, as the ayat of Quran says, that everyone must face the agony of death, and to us they shall all return. Now, a lot of time people ask question as to when something like this happens in the family, what are the first few steps that they have to take? Now, it is important to understand that while there are a lot of mustahabbat that go along at the time of a person's death, for example, putting them facing qibla, so meaning that they're laying flat on their back while their feet are facing qibla, so that means their face is also facing qibla. Making sure that you can bring their hands down, because sometimes the position that they die in, the hands might get frozen in that direction, so you don't want that. It'll become difficult when we're putting on the coffin and washing. Mouth sometimes remains open, so tie a knot or something just to keep it closed. And of course, other things that physicians should be able to take care of, the hospital should be able to take care of. But once that happens, of course, a lot of time we do figure these things out, and we eventually find some help. And then we're scrambling as to what is the next step. The next steps, I'll show you on the computer screen. The next steps that if you want, of course, Masjid-e-Ali to take care of these things, I'll show you how to go about doing it. All you need to do is go to your web browser, open up a Masjid-e-Ali website. Hope I spelled it right. I didn't. www.masjideali.org. Go to the website. Website comes up. You go all the way to the bottom, community services. Here you'll see funeral services. You click on this link. It brings you to this page where you'll have Murtaza Bhai's name, my name, and one of the sister volunteers' name. And then here is the most important thing, burial requests. You click on this, and you can access this from your phone as well. You don't need to have a computer. Come up to this page and just fill out the information. So who's submitting it, your email, phone number, street address, information about the deceased, their full name as is on the ID card, their passports, gender, social security, age, country of birth. All of this important information is needed. We don't store this information, but we need it initially to pass it to our, the local funeral homes, so that we can convey this message to them. They have all this detail to go ahead and work on the death certificate, and as well as have the licenses available to pick up the body from the hospital and to be able to carry it, whatnot. So all this information is pertinent. Sometimes you say, well, why do they really need this? Why do they really need this? Of course, we're not keeping this information. We're not storing it for our own purposes or anything, but this is needed right away in order to make those quick decisions. So if you send in an incomplete form, a lot of time it ends up being delayed. So make sure that you fill the entire form out in its entirety. It takes about a minute or two. And once you hit send, right away, me, myself, Murtaza Bhai, and a couple of other people in Masjid admin, they get this email, and we start working from that moment on. While the fun part, I use the word fun part, there's no fun in it, but the part where you'll get to learn hands-on training as to what to do. Of course, we don't ask you to do anything. If, God forbid, a death happens in the family, you're the least or the last person that we're going to ask you to go ahead and do any of these things. It is obligation, of course, on all of Muslimin. And once it's in our hands, of course, it's going to be our obligation to take care of it. We have enough manpower and women power, if a lady passes away, to take care of all of these things. And we don't ask for any help. But of course, sometimes people request that they want to participate in different activities, for example, washing of the body and coffin and all that stuff. They want to take part in it. That is fine, and that is acceptable, and that is something which we don't mind. But let us know of that as well. So I'll quickly get into the presentation part. So there are 7 T's. 7 T's. I like to acknowledge that we have taken this from the Islamic Funeral app developed by Zainab.org. A good job that they have done. So the 7 T's that you need to remember are taghsil, tahneet, takfeen, tasliya, tadfeen, talqeen, and tarheem. Now, 5 of them are the wajibat, 2 of them are mustahabat. Of course, taghsil is the ghusl, giving ghusl. Tahneet is applying hunut. And I can make this slide available to anyone who needs it as well. Takfeen, you know the word. Tasliya, from salat, offering the salatul janaza. Tadfeen, talqeen, and tarheem is remembering the deceased by having this majlis-e tarheem. All right, as far as taghsil is concerned, as I keep on alluding to the fact that Murtaza Bhai will present it, how that is done, and he will show how it is done. And this is a good learning process, because we are a big community, and we realize the fact that we do have a lot of deaths in the community. As it's inevitable. I recited that ayat in the beginning. Nobody knows when they'll die, and nobody knows where they'll be buried. But with the large community, this comes in play, that you'll see a lot of deaths happening. And when that happens, it's not a bad idea for you to just drop in if you want to go through the actual process of it. So washing the body, there are a few things to remember. First and foremost for us is to get the permission, idhn, from the, am I on the way? Get the idhn from the wali of the mayyit. So whoever is the first in line as the inheritor, preferred, is the person who should be referred to over here. Male inheritors have preference regarding the fact that you come in contact with the male more than you come in contact with the ladies, and at that point going to them and asking them for this. Of course, if she's the only person, then of course she will be the one responsible for this. But this whole concept of seeking permission is sort of understood, because why are they bringing the body over here if they don't have the consent already, right? The fact that they have brought it over here is already given consent. But nonetheless, it's the obligation on our behalf that we go ahead and we ask, so that tomorrow someone can say, well, did you even ask? So 3 washings are done. It is obligatory to wash the body 3 times. First with ma'us sidr, mixed water, which is leaves of lotus tree. Is that correct, Murtaza? Well, berry, but juju berry. Okay. And so you don't mix it so much that it becomes mudaf, meaning mixed. You can't really call it water anymore. But you don't do it a little bit that you say, well, there's nothing in it. So we have a good mechanism here in our ghusl khana where we have it in a way where we just use the sort of like the juice of it and it runs through the leaves and we get that nice little water in it. Second is ma'ul kafur, camphor, except for those who pass away while they were doing hajj or umrah, because applying camphor has a smell in it and fragrance in it, and therefore at hajj or umrah this won't be applied. Instead you will just use pure water. And lastly, ma'ul khalis, the pure water. And if none of these are available, it is possibility. Many places they don't have. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed. We have enough supplies, and if anyone needs it, we can provide it to them as well. But if you don't have it, what do? You just go ahead and wash 3 times with ma'ul khalis, pure water. Now there are certain sharait of the person who's giving the ghusl. We understand this, we know what to do. This person must be ithna ashari, Islamically mature, aqil, and should know the masail, should be aware of the masail of giving ghusl. Kind of like the person who leads the prayer. Ithna ashari, mature, aqil, and knows the masail of how to lead the prayer. Ghusl must also make the intention. So this is important. When you're giving the ghusl, just like when you pray, you make the intention that I'm doing this qurbatan ilallah until the end of the 3rd ghusl. Since ghusl mayyit is wajib at-ta'abbudi. Now there's a difference between ta'abbudi and tawassuli. Ta'abbudi is like your regular prayers. When you perform it, you make intention that I do it qurbatan ilallah. But something which is the prerequisite of another wajib, or not really a prerequisite, like the example over here is your purification of the dress is needed for salat. Now salat is wajib ta'abbudi. You need to make the intention that I perform salat wajib qurbatan ilallah. But to wear the clean clothes for salatul wajib, it's wajib tawassuli. You don't need to make the intention, I'm putting on the clean clothes to go ahead and that's the difference between the two. So we got a little bit of fiqh in it as well. Ghusl is wajib if a Muslim baby 4 months or old. So under 4 months, stillborn, there's no ghusl. You just wash it, wrap it into this khirqa, and then we just bury it. But 4 months or old, we will wash it, and we still wash the less than 4 months, but 4 plus, we give ghusl. And even of illegitimate birth, so well, should we give ghusl to such a person? Yes. Even insane by birth, if parents of a baby are Muslim, otherwise it's not jaiz. Ghusl is haram for one person, so of course for kafir, you would not be performing the ghusl. Mahramiyat issue comes into play that male should give ghusl to male and female should give ghusl to female. If a male gives it to non-mahram women, and likewise vice versa, the ghusl is batil. So that is important, that if that was to be done, the ghusl is actually batil. But of course, husband and wife can give ghusl to each other because they are mahram for one another. Father to a daughter who is less than 3 years old, mother to a son who is less than 3 years old, and maharim can do ghusl to a person of opposite sex, in this case brother and sister and so on and so forth, as long as of course they're not looking at, even when you're of a same gender, you're not looking at the private parts. It's not allowed. It's haram to look at the private parts, so therefore this would be permissible. And the rest is just looking at the awratan, the 2 private parts. That is something which has to be made sure. If one dies of hayd or janabat, you don't have to give ghusl to bring them out of their hayd or janabat. No, the same ghusl mayyit is enough. And of course, it's not allowed for a person doing this to charge anything, because this is wajib kifai. It's wajib on everyone, but only a few people go ahead and perform it. It's no longer wajib on the rest. That's what the definition of wajib kifai is. So, ihtiyat wujubi is that also that it should not be taken. If, of course, water is not available. So if you ever run into a situation where there's no or scarce water, you go ahead and give 3 tayammums. in place of each ghusl. And tayammum, the method of doing tayammum is done. Of course, when a person is alive, he does it himself, but in this case, you're going to try and use the hands of the deceased. Or if that is not possible for whatever reason, the hands, God forbid something happened to it, you're going to go ahead and do it with your hands and rub it onto the forehead and the palms. The second wajib part is hunut. This is applying camphor on 7 parts of sajda. So when you go to sajda, in al masajida lillahi, the masajid, the places where you place your forehead, the palms, the 2 knees, and the 2 toes, these are the places where you rub this fresh kafur. And it is mustahab to rub it on the nose as well, a little bit. And if kafur is less, just use for the forehead. That's given priority over the other body parts. And then this is for those who are at Hajj and Umrah. Of course, because it's camphor, it is not permissible to give it to them as well. Again, it's mustahab to add a little bit of turba of Imam Hussein, khaki shafa, into kafur. And don't mix too much of it, and don't rub it at a place which is disrespectful to khaki shafa as well. All right. So I'm just going through the wajibat. Takfeen, the third T, is to go ahead and give coffin, shrouding. Wrapping coffin on a mayyit's body, it is wajib to provide 3 wrappings. So these 3 are the only wajib. The rest that you see goes along is what? Mustahab. The 3 wajib that you need to remember is the upper body, which is your shirt from your shoulders to, all the way to your knees. Izar, which is, from navel basically, again, a little bit below the knees. And then the overall, which is above the head and all the way to the feet. Enough so that you can tie a knot at the both ends. That's the wajib. They say, well, it's so difficult to do. Well, the Bible cut it for you. So difficult? Yeah, it is difficult. But these are the 3 that are wajib. You've done this in, of course, scenarios where no one really available. You're by yourself. You say, well, how am I going to do this? No, simple. Keep it simple. 3, 1 is a shirt, 1 is a lungi, and the 3rd is the overall. And you've done the wajib part. But of course, there are, mustahab parts of it as well, which we will, inshallah, mention. So, wajib for the men, qamis, izar, and overall, as I mentioned. Mustahab, you put on turban, ranpich, which is the underwear, belt, kamarband, and second overall chadar, another one which will cover the entire body. This is sometimes second overall serves the purpose that if the first one becomes, najis or there's something on it, you can easily replace it. For women, same 3 are wajib. And then you have the maqna, which is the scarf basically, not a mama, rather a scarf, chest band, underwear, belt, and the second overall. Again, those are just mustahabbat. If you get the first 3, that's all is required from you. So just a quick picture of it. Wajib part, you see that this is what the shirt basically is, from the shoulder right here to all the way to the knees, just to keep it a little bit longer. It's mustahab to bring it below the knees actually. The top part was the wajib, below was the mustahab. This is the izar, the lungi, the shorts if you want to call it. Wajib is from the navel to the knees, but the mustahab is from the chest all the way to the feet. And then the last, overall, is something which you'll cover. Of course, every individual is different as far as their length is concerned. So this is the approximate size. Overall sheet should wrap around the body, overlapping on one side and the other, long enough so that you can tie both ends. These are the mustahabat for male. So you got the amama on the head, you got the belt or kamarband, and you have the underwear, and then the overall covering. And for female, you have the hijab or maqna if you want to call it. Then you have the chest band, and then you have belt, the underwear, and the overall. Again, this is just mustahab. Jaridatan is fresh twigs. This is 2 just go out to the tree and then just cut 2 small branches, clean them up. There shouldn't be any leaves on it. Put them underneath the armpits like that, and that's it. Wrapping, I think when he does it, we might get someone to be the model over here. He'll show how it is wrapped around. So we have a couple of volunteers. But a few things to know. You don't have to worry about this at all. But just for the, knowing the ahkam. Everything that we have is, halal for us to use. It's not ghasbi, usurped. It's not najis. It's not made of pure silk. And it's not, it doesn't have gold or, silk or anything of that sort in it. So that is as far as the coffin is concerned. A lot of people go and buy a coffin when they go to ziyarat. It's nice practice to keep your coffin with you. Amongst the will, that you have your will ready, you should have your coffin ready as well, and instructions where to look for it. I'll skip the next part. Now, 4th one is tasliya, which is Salatul Mayyit, Janaza. Again, you run into a situation where you're the one who's leading it, right? These days, you can just Google something quickly, and it comes out. It's wajib to offer prayer for anyone who's 6 years or old. So anyone 6 and younger, it's not wajib. Can you do it? Sure, but it's not wajib. Salatul Mayyit, of course, should be done after ghusl. Hunut and takfeen should not be done prior to that. Wudu or ghusl or tayammum, none of this is needed for those who are performing Salatul Mayyit. A lot of people, come and say, well, you don't need it. You don't need to be tahir. And then, of course, Imam is standing in, so for example, Qibla is that way, Imam standing like this, facing the Qibla. The body is laying flat on the back like this, head over here, feet over there, Imam stands like this. And that's, people are standing in the direction of the Qibla, not the body. There shouldn't be any curtain. Salat must be done with the niyat, wajib, qurbatan ilallah. Again, getting the permission from the wali. It's makruh to pray more than once, but of course, there's exception to ulama and atqiya, pious people. It is allowed. And God forbid, someone buried the mayyit without offering Salatul Mayyit, which is a wajib. What do? Should you exhume the body? No, it's haram to exhume the body. Nabsh qabr is haram, but you still have to go ahead and perform Salatul Mayyit. You can just stand. It's wajib to pray on the grave before the body decays. So for example, the next day you figure out, Salatul Mayyit was not performed. So you go ahead and you offer Salatul Mayyit, standing at the grave in the direction of the Qibla. These are some of the adab. This is how to offer. This is the short version of Salatul Mayyit. Anyone can just, do this. That's not the longer version. You know these azkar. Everybody knows these azkar. So it's 5 takbir. First Allahu Akbar, and then Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. That's one after the first takbir. Then you say the second takbir. Then you send the durood. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Then you say the third takbir. Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minin wal mu'minat. Fourth takbir. Allahumma ighfir li hadha al mayyit or li hadhihi al mayyit if it's a male or it's a female. Allahu Akbar, and you're done. That's all there is to Salatul Janazah. The longer version is the one that you usually see Maulanas recite. But this is the short version. 5 takbir. In between each takbir, you have a dhikr. First dhikr is the shahadatain. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. After second takbir, the salawat. After third takbir, you make dua. Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minin wal mu'minat. And after the fourth takbir, Allahumma ighfir li hadal mayyit. And you're done. You have performed the wajib part of Salatul Mayyit. And that's the short version of it. Tadfeen, of course, it's wajib to bury right away. Do not delay. A lot of time we delay for a genuine reason. For example, a family is coming from out of state or out of country. There's nothing wrong with it. We have facility here to keep the body. But back in the day, because when they didn't have these sort of facilities, and the body will start decaying and the smell will start coming, and it will attract the animals. It was important that you go ahead and bury right away. Some of the stuff regarding the expenses and all that stuff, and throwing into the ocean, inshallah, we'll never have to worry about that. We already have this covered as well. Alhamdulillah, we only take it to the Muslim graveyards, and we have our own purchased graves. It's not waqf, it's not a ghasbi. All those things are usually taken care of whenever we are looking at it. Okay, I think this is the last, burying the mayyit. So it should be as deep as the height of a human, usually about 6 feet. Primarily is done because when it's that deep, the smell does not come out to attract the animals. The other day, there was something in my wife's watching. There was something in the fridge that just didn't want to throw it into the garbage. So I was told to go ahead and bury it in the backyard. I said, sure. So I dug a hole in my lawn in the backyard, and I buried that thing. Maybe I dug a hole of half a foot or something, and then I buried that thing. It was probably something frozen sitting in our fridge for a long, long time. Now, 2 days later, someone had dug that up. And the plastic was there, the plastic bag was there, but the thing inside was gone. Animal came, smelled it, and ate it, and there you go. Well, it was only half a foot. It wasn't more than that. So that's how strong sense of smell these animals have. That's the reason 6 feet under is to be safe. Usually these things are taken care of, placing the body facing the qibla on the right shoulder, so it should be laying like this so that the face is towards the qibla. Usually in Pakistan and other countries, you make this lahad, which is not possible to make the lahad over here, but we do the best we can to keep the body facing the qibla. Or sometimes the bodies are buried with the casket. We bring the sand and the dirt inside the casket so the body is touching the sand. Otherwise, all the other things are usually taken care of. So you make a pillow of soil under the head and put the soil, etc., at the back of the support. And so these are the things that are usually done. Putting the mayyit into barefoot, those not related to mayyit, throw the soil with back of their hands. We usually are telling these things while you're doing this. You can say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Mahram puts women into the grave. If unavailable, of course, then her relatives. Put a mark on the grave for identification, sprinkle water. And then once the water is sprinkled and the grave is closed, we stick our hand 7 places and we recite, Inna anzalna, and seek forgiveness for the mayyit by offering Salatul Mayyit at the first night. I can skip these things because we want to get to the part where Murtaza bhai talqeen, it is mustahab to recite talqeen twice. So usually Maulanas do that when they're sitting. First, while the body is still not covered yet, someone sits on the body, and then after laying the body into the grave, and before closing the grave and after closing the grave, and then talqeen is recited. Talqeen can be found in the books of fiqh. Any Tawzul Masail book of Islamic law, you'll find the talqeen in it. Tarheem is, of course, sending thawab to the mayyit by offering. This is where Salatul Wahsha or Salat Hadiya Mayyit is mentioned. That after you finish the prayer, you say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wab'ath thawabaha ila qabri, and mention the name. Oh Allah, send the thawab of this salat to the grave of so-and-so. And that's it. That concludes Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ghusl Mayyit. So if a person touches the body after it has gone cold. Now I have a few physicians sitting over here. Usually Shariat mentions that it takes about 4 hours or so for the body to become cold. In a sense that, before that, some of the organs are, slowly and gradually are, dying or whatever the case is. So until then, if you touch the body, for example, you were there with the loved one, and as they died, you were holding on to their hands. Or for example, you got there, half hour, an hour, whatever, when the doctors allowed you in, for example, and you touch them, hug them, you kiss them, and there's no Masjid-e-Ali yet. Masjid-e-Ali becomes obligatory about 4 hours after the body has passed away. That's when, at least in Islamic law, we have it. And then I'm sure scientifically and medically speaking, there's something to it that it is. Now, why? Because body is now weak and it's unable to defend itself. So it is possible of other germs and microbes might be able to attack and touch the body and get on top of the body. So now when you're touching the body, that'll transfer to you as well. The only way to get rid of that is to wash. Now you can just wash your hands, but Sharia says go ahead and take a shower, thorough washing. Go ahead and do what is called Masjid-e-Ali. And the ghusl Masjid-e-Ali is similar to how you perform the regular janabat ghusl by washing the head to the neck and then getting out of the water a little bit and then coming back into the water, washing the right side of your body, moving away from the water, coming back in, washing the left side of the body. And that's how ghusl for Masjid-e-Ali is done. All right, my part is over. If there's any other question, I'm more than happy to take them. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Murtaza bhai for the real part. Any questions? No?
Assalamu alaikum. For ghusl prep, a few things you better prepare in advance so that you don't get stuck in between. First item is the no smell soap, no perfumes, etc. Crushed camphor for the washing, and powder or crushed berry leaves. At the masjid here, we have all the items available, so there is no need for anyone to bring from home or make sure it is available. If a death occurs here or in the next 3 states next to us, Pennsylvania or New York, or we have washed people who expired in Connecticut too. So if that's the case, then we have all the facilities available here. All we do is one phone call, body is here, and then we do the washing, coffin, dafan, everything is done under the umbrella of Masjid-e-Ali. We will use Kazim Bhai as our yes, model. Yeah. आप चढ़ेंगे ऊपर? नहीं, मैं हूँ ना. In washing, first thing is you do the head. Wash the head up and down. Now you have to remember the body does not move, so you have to have some help, at least two more people, so that it's easy to move it. Number 2, you have to have people who have enough strength to push or pull. I mean, you can't just pull an arm, it has to be moved and rolled too. Head is washed easily, but first, before you do the washing, you clean the body with soap, no perfume soap, and water. Once the body, all the dirt is removed, like if a body comes from the hospital, it's tubes, band-aids, and sometimes blood oozing out, so it's all cleaned up like you would do in a shower. When you take a shower, you'll wash your dirt off, and then you'll perform the ghusl. Again, we follow the same system here. Once that is done, it's easy to wash the head because you have one person holding the water or pouring the water, and it's easy to move because it's up to the neck. The second part is what you do is somebody pours water on top here first, all the first part. Now, before you even remove the clothing from the mayyit. Make sure you have enough white pieces to cover, have some good 4 or 5 pieces, big ones like this, and this is a small one, but to cover for a male. If it's the woman, then you need a material which covers from chest up to this part. So I would say at least a 4 foot wide piece of cloth and another 3 feet wide here, so that it's covered nicely, because you do want the water to go in, but you don't want anyone who is helping you or you yourself to expose a dead body. You do the first top part, including the arms and everything. The back side, what you do is take the foot right up on crisscross on the others, and then from here, somebody holds while it is washed here. So half the right side is done first, and then you go to the left side again, wash the top part, the arm, everything underneath, and then crisscross the legs, and then somebody from that side pulls up while somebody pushes the water underneath. 3 ghusls are wajib. The mayyat does not become pak unless all the 3 ghusls are done. First you do the wash. Second one, the wash is not part of ghusl. The first one is berry leaves, second one is camphor, and the third one is clean water. For camphor, we here prefer to use fresh powder, so we crush it ourselves before the ghusl is done. And we have a system here at the masjid whereby the water, the powder is put in it's a swimming pool filter system, where you put like you would put chlorine or something in the filter pump, and then it pushes out. Here we have the same system, but we put camphor rolled in a nice bag, or a cheesecloth bag, or any kind of bags, and tie it up so that it does not block the plumbing. So you put it in the water, or if it's a bucket, then tie it up nicely and leave it in the bucket so that the fragrance comes out. Berry leaves is also medicinal. It may not have a very strong flavor or smell, but it's recommended for a mayyat because it keeps the smell and the animals or whatever it is away. It repels any other insects and things like that. And camphor, of course, is nice, fragrant, and it's useful for a good number of hours because we don't want a dead body to start smelling. The problem is that if once water touches a dead person, then it's easy to decompose quickly. So this is why it's also Maulana Sahib is saying that it is recommended that we bury as soon as it is done. Here what we do is after the 3 ghusl are performed, we have a nice expensive cooling system in which we put the body and lock it up so that it remains at a temperature of 36, 37 degrees, a refrigerator type temperature, so that it does not start to decompose. And it's removed only when it is time for burial to put in the box. The coffin, you want me to, I will cut here to the size.
Need help?
Yeah.
My understanding is that the stuff that we get from, like, when we go for ziyarah and we buy a coffin, what does that include in the bag? Because I haven't opened mine up.
Yeah.
It's nice and
You see, coffin you purchase from ziyarat is sometimes of very low quality and it's see-through. So what we do here is, like, if you would bring a coffin, we purchase. It is recommended that you use high quality 100% cotton material. And here, like, we have enough to do for about 10 mayyits on hand all the time. The coffin from Iraq mostly is cheaper material, so I take some parts only some pieces only which I can use, like the shirt or the chest cover or something like that. But otherwise, I would suggest that you let us pick some nice 100% cotton, and it is really good to do that.
So if anyone has a question, use this so that audiences can also hear your question. The question was regarding the coffin that we
buy from
Iraq and Iran.
Yeah, mostly it's Iraq.
Okay.
Like which part of the coffin is in that
Yes.
bag? That's what
What we will do is, the coffin is laid out in reverse, because the first part which goes inside is on top. I hope you understand my, yeah. Now we will use this, I use this table for cutting coffin. So we'll make a proper coffin and then hold it for somebody. Also, before you cut the coffin, just make sure that you know the size or the height of the person. Because mashallah, a person like me is short, so this is a 6-foot table, so 1 feet on each side is good. But there are some people who are 6.5, so you better make sure you have enough at the end here to tie and also to wrap around, because a dead person a dead body may swell, and you need more, like, my measurement is about 3 times the width of a body. 1 to go on each side.
You don't use the scissors. Scissors use
Yeah. Yes, scissor, you can't use a scissor to cut all the way.
Just a little bit.
You just make a slit and then tear it. Now, this is a 90-inch wide, 100% cotton, of course made in Pakistan, so it's good. A slit. Now 90-inch wide material is a bit too much, so our measurement is, so we can open this up. If you have something like this at every facility, then it is so easy to cut and measure it too. So this is, the edge part here is for tying. And be a bit generous.
But this is much wider than 19, Murtaza, right?
G? Yeah. Yeah, it's 90-inch wide.
Okay.
Yeah, but 90 is a bit, I prefer about 70, 72. So what you do is you cut off 20 inches.
And you can save it for something else.
Yeah. You will need for pagri. If it's a woman, you will need it for chest cover, dupatta.
So usually a person's chest, waist is like, if you're looking at
Yeah.
32, 33,
Yes. Yeah.
40, 45.
Yes.
So still you have twice as much.
Yes. This side is slightly shorter. This is the last outer chadar. Number 2 is the shirt. It will be in reverse, so we are going by shirt size. And
So this is the first overall.
the first overall chadar. This one here will be the shirt. It's what I have done, or what we have done here, is we have material we purchase in different widths. For a shirt, 44 inches very good, because then there's no need to waste and cut. For lungi and izar, I buy 108-inch wide material, so that you cut it in half. It's 54 inch, which is very good for a izar or a lungi. Yeah.
Shorts.
Yeah, shorts, yes. Now this is 44 inch, so it is good for a shirt. And we are going, yeah, this is good. Yeah, yeah. If you touch this material, you will see that it is heavy and nice 100% cotton. Half. Yeah. Yeah.
So is anything sewed, any of these things sewed together or no, right?
Sorry?
Nothing is sewed.
No, it's not allowed, yes.
Double fold, double fold.
Double fold, yeah.
Just like the ihram.
Yeah.
Kameez, you have double fold.
Well, so you need front and back.
Yeah, front and back, yeah.
And then you cut
Put a hole, right? And then,
next space. Right?
I see.
I got you. You're gonna put it down.
It's like a kid's like a Halloween costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, now we keep on top. Yeah.
So you go halfway.
Yes.
Keep up on fire.
Yeah. This is the shirt material.
So what you just did, you fold it in half and you make a
Yeah,
little cut.
yeah, I made a cut so that,
And just rub it in.
So the head fits
Yeah.
through that.
This is where the head is going to go.
I see.
but you can't put it on a mayat on top. So what we do, Maulana, if you can hold it, if
Oh, okay.
let me fold it and then I can explain what we are doing. Yes, this comes on top. Yeah, yeah. Now, it's 44-inch wide with, let's say, it's about 4.5, 5 foot long. This is the shirt. You keep the head here and this part goes over the head and this other part goes on top. So otherwise there's no way to put it on a mayyat.
You want to lay down there? You can show it to them?
Sorry?
I'll lay down. You can show it to them?
Oh, okay.
Let me go.
आ जाइए.
And you don't need the width so that because you're not wrapping it around.
No,
It's just-
this one is just the arms coming, yes. Head here. काजी भाई निकल गए हैं. Okay, you can see what we have done. Yeah, that's the kameez. So this is wajib.
Yeah, so this is the second
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Okay. Now, bas, you will have to.
No, you have to put the lungi part also?
Yeah, first but this one is laid. Yeah, well, this is laid out in reverse
Yeah, reverse.
because
Lungi goes on first.
yeah, the body is already. Let's say, imagine the body is sitting in here. So first we put the izar, then we put on the lungi, then the kameez, and then the we can do the amama later on. But you cannot move the mayyat, so it has to. Common sense is that you put the inside item first and then keep on in reverse.
Yeah, right.
So why don't you just simply show the three pieces, the lungi?
Yeah, this is the three. Yeah,
No,
This-
make the third one.
the third one. Yeah, the third one. Yeah.
And then we'll see that.
Okay.
What you're saying is that, and then do the order of how we wrap. Yeah, so like you
Yeah.
said,
We have to have these.
is the mayat wet when they come? Or I hear they dry.
So, at this point, the mayyat is already dried up.
Yes.
So, of course, we've done the 3 ghusls, and after the 3 ghusls, different people have different methods of drying the mayyat. Maybe you'll just use the towels to dry it up. Murtaza bhai does not believe in drying it with the towels
No, I believe in covering it up in towels and not rub on the skin.
and leaving it as is.
Leave it for about half an hour, air dry, air conditioning is on here, and it will dry out, while the people who are doing the work take a bit of time off, because it takes a good hour and a half or so to do the ghusl, yes. And sometimes if there's a medical problem or an issue, then it takes a bit longer. Yeah. So this.
By,
Yeah.
by the way, the thing you tell them if there are any cuts or bleeds, then you can suture.
Oh yes, it cuts.
Or bleeds, you have to suture it.
Yeah. Two things you can do. Either you find a medical person or a medical assistant who can help you in suturing all the openings, because the hospitals do not remove all the tubes and things like that. So if you try to cut off the tube or something and God help it bursts open, then you are in trouble. So what you have to do is get a medical person. And we have, in the women, we are very lucky. We have 2 nurses now, registered nurses who help. So that's very easy. In men, it's difficult. So we try and learn ourselves how to fix it, or ask a physician to help us.
He's being humble. He's become an expert in it.
Yeah. And stitching, yeah.
And you can teach
the
us.
stitching, and the other part is, nowadays there is a stapler available.
The other thing is there are two more things.
Yeah.
There are 2 more things that we can use, and I have done it with Murtaza. One is if you use the standard 040 needle, it's very difficult because the skin is extremely hard. So you can use the suture that are used in veterinary for horses. Use that. Or there is a clotting agent that you can buy and you put on top of the wound. You put the clotting agent on top of the wound, and that will stop the bleeding. So that way you don't have to go through the headache of suturing and whatnot. That is the best way to do it. Something like crazy glue or something.
Yeah, well, I have used crazy glue. I have different methods of working. It depends on how the deceased person, how the deceased person is brought from the hospital. Sometimes if it's a bad accident, then it is very difficult. I should not be saying much, but there was recently a autopsy body. I had one recently, and Allah is merciful. It came in a state where I had to send it back to the funeral home to tell them that no, this is not good. Please do some stitching and bring this back. And before that, there was one where the organs were removed, and the hospital heart was removed, and the hospital did not stitch it back. So when I opened it, it was complete open chest. And that day, we were so lucky that there was a family physician who was waiting for the Mayyat to go for burial. And he helped to stitch it, the whole part. So it's very important. Otherwise, there's a stapler also available, a body stapler for emergency help, like they use it for scalp or something like that. And we have here too. I have some good number.
But then, the thing is, even if you use a family physician or a medical personnel, or even myself, I have tried it with Murtaza a few times, and the skin of the body is so hard, much more different than the skin of a live person. It's amazing how it
Plus rigor mortis has already set in, so it becomes tough.
Very tough. So you cannot use any of those needles. You cannot use any of that stuff. The best way is...
true. Best way is stapling. And again, it's the blood or whatever it is dead, so it does not clot.
Right.
So if you don't close it up properly, it keeps on oozing out.
Yeah.
So and different mayat come at different stages. It's not nice to talk about it. There are certain things which we can do it, and once in a while I have told the family, 1 or 2 people who are helping me, to tell them that now you go out, let me do my work, and then I call you back. And it has happened a couple of times.
Now you're doing the lungi?
Yeah, I'm going to do the lungi and the izar.
How much did you cut it at?
I cut the width of
Length and the width.
Yeah, length and width. This is about 5 feet.
About 5 feet.
Yeah. Now, what we'll do is, this is 90 inch. So, and this is half. So 1/2, the top half will be the izar, the other half will be the lungi.
that in half.
Yeah.
No, you do the whole thing. You
Yeah.
cut the whole thing.
Yeah. The answer. Now these three things are wajib. This is the
those are here.
lungi, shirt,
Kameez
and the cover. This is required. You can't cut them.
so you can show.
Sorry?
The stuff that's not wajib,
These three things are wajib.
like, can that go on first or the stuff that's not wajib? Let's say the stuff that's not wajib, can that go on first? Or does the wajib stuff have to touch the body first?
No.
Like, okay, so you can still put the
The
briefs and the chest
Normally,
covering.
Here,
Yeah.
when we do a coffin here, or when we shroud the body, we do mustahab and wajibat together. Because if you miss, say, izar, and put the lungi on, you cannot go back again, you know. So it's very difficult then to keep on removing and putting in them. And here also, you know, a dead body does not move at all. So you can't push it, you have to lift it physically. And this is why we even have here a body lift, so that we have straps and which lifts the body, and then it is laid out properly. So once it's laid out, you can't keep on moving it around.
Do you make any cut on the lungi or no?
Yes, on the lungi I will cut just now, but here I want to show this.
They can't see it, so lift it up a little bit.
Okay.
Towards the edge?
Yeah, towards the edge, just about an inch and a half. This is the belt. Maulana Sahib, you
belt.
had a name for it.
You put the belt below.
Yeah.
Kamarband.
Kamarband, yes. Okay. Now. Again, this one here, if you want to lie down again on the...
Murtaza, one more thing, I want to let them know that these three pieces of cloth that Murtaza just cut, about 2 inches wide and maybe about 4 feet long, 1, 2, 3, you should lay it down first below the chadar itself also.
In reverse.
In reverse, everything.
Yeah.
You can put all three on them
You
now.
can see the measurement. This part goes here,
Oh, yeah.
and the other part goes on top. This is the lungi. And this... Sorry?
No, वो
Yeah,
मुस्ताहब
the
है,
belt.
मुस्ताहब है, वो तो
The
वरना-
belt, when I lay it down, I put the belt so that it is ready, and
then
I
it-
just tie it up.
Yeah,
Yes.
keeps that intact.
Yeah. So this, chali.
Then it,
Between the legs.
No, that's the other one. That's the izar. Yeah. That's mustahab. Here.
I know, you have to do that.
Yeah.
do all of that. While he's laying, you can just do all the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Cover him up.
I will need to lay it out.
Izar, which is mustahab, he's going to do that.
Yeah, here. Okay. This one here, the Caesar's body. Again, I'm cutting an inch and a half wide belt, kamarband. This is to hold the either izar or the lungi, rather than trying to struggle to. A lot of times they try and struggle to put a knot on it, and it keeps on coming off. If there is a good kamarband, then there is no need to worry about it. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is the second. One second, please. Yeah. We'll go on top here. Yeah.
You have to slit it in between.
Yeah, no, not yet. I want to keep it and then measure it.
So he's cutting it in the...
In between, so that it can go between the legs, and then he'll see a long slit.
Yeah.
help करें.
Hold it here. This will stay here in between.
फारसी में रान पीच.
Round pitch, yes. The 90-inch wide material I cut into half, which is 45 inches. So one piece is for the lungi, one is izar, and the width is about the width of the chadar. So let's say this is 30, 30, and 30, about 90 inches.
Yeah. About 7 feet.
Yeah, 7 feet. So that it's easy to fold. It's better to have a bit more rather than tight, because sometimes a body is lifted out of the box and put in the grave, and it moves, then it becomes very difficult. So these are the three. This is the izar. This is mustahab, which is not required. Right. Now, when you lay it out, the belts, what you do here?
All the way in the bottom.
Now here, this belt, this is the belt for the izar. So you lay it here. The other one, yeah. So once it is tied, once you wrap the lungi underneath this, yeah. There is the final 3 ties which are done. One is in the center, the belt, when the coffin is complete, and one is one piece of, for the head and one piece for the tail. Small pieces. And I think we will cut here and
one of the remaining cloths, you can use it.
You can do it from here. Yes, easy. Yeah. This we will use for pagadi.
Okay. So the turban, huh?
Yeah.
This is right here. So again, this is the mustahab, to have a turban for men, and then maqna for the women.
Okay. Yeah. And this is the final one. Yeah. Check it. In the center.
So they're placing it all the way in the bottom, underneath the overall, huh?
Pull it, yeah. Now this is the kafan band which has to be loosened at the time of burial.
Yeah.
So when, let's say here, when Maulana Sahib is at the Qabristan, he will ask the person who is inside to open the knots, because these knots are supposed to be open when it's inside, yeah. Now, how to wrap this one? Okay. The idea of making a slit in between was, can you take your arm off? Yeah, but the other piece. Yeah. Okay. Now, first what you do is, let's say, pick the left side, and then this part goes around. It's tied like a pajama, yeah. Around the legs, this part, there's a slit here, and this other part, this other one is for the other leg. Again, nice wrap. This is pulled out tight, so it becomes like a pajama. And then this one is tight. This izar is not mandatory, but for lungi, it's straight up. Now, before you do that, it's also recommended that cotton in roll. You can't buy cotton in roll easily, but it comes in a good 12-foot long roll, and it's about 24 inches wide, which we laid out on top of this izar at the end. Bas ye ho gaya. You want? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, gaya. Okay. Now it's in reverse now, yeah. This will be tight. So it will hold nicely. And again, this one here is the lungi.
And this is also tight.
Yeah. Now this if it's a mayyat, I try and make sure it's very held tight. Yeah. And then kameez. Okay.
Kameez you don't have to tie anywhere.
No, kameez is not tight, yes. All right. This is the mayyat. And then you can do the pagri with this material, and yeah, tie it around with two. But one, yeah, but tatul anak is wajib. This and this, this comes in, yeah, crisscross. Both this side goes left, left side goes to right. But this is tatul hanak, which is required. The edges. Otherwise, pagri is sunnah, and you have a small piece which you can cover like a head cover, you know, small square, you can put it here, or a triangle which can go here. Yeah. But this is also mustahab. Recently there was a mayyit in Pittsburgh, and there were some youngsters who have been here with us in practice, but they had to be reminded. And I told them that it's easy to do the wajibat only, and mustahab is not required, and they did it very well. It was done very well, yes.
You said Tahtul Hanak is wajib?
If you do the pagri, then Tahtul Hanak is wajib.
If you're not doing the pagri,
Then there's no yes.
Loud salawat for Aksar. Allah.
Now, if you have the material from Pakistan or from Iraq, what you do is the shirt you can remove, because this has got some good writing of some du'as and things like that. Joshan Kabir is there. There are other du'as which is reprinted on it. So you can put it as the shirt. Instead of shirt, cutting a fresh material thick like this, you can use that. Or you can use it on the head covering. And sometimes if there is a small piece, then what we do is we leave it on the chest, which has got du'as, yes, yeah. So that's very helpful. Dr. Saab, you will take this with you, or?
No. You can
Yes.
keep it here.
No, yeah, we will use it here.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, I see somebody, he put the cotton in the mouth and in the hair. What is that?
That will come when we do the pagri. Cotton, not in the ears, but in the mouth, because if the mouth is by mistake left open, or sometimes sakarat maut is so different for everybody, and it's different parts which you have to take care of. And you don't tie a piece of cloth unless it is very necessary. Otherwise, we try and put cotton inside in the mouth so that it does not ooze out any liquids too, which is very important, because when you are washing, a lot of liquid goes into these openings in the ear or mouth or somewhere else, and you have to make sure either you remove it or you dry it out so that it does not start oozing out, because sometimes it oozes out with blood. So all these small things are very important when you are doing it. This is why we recommend that I mean, here of course people bring it to the masjid and we take care of it, but they see us doing all the necessary things, and it really works out very well, because we have some very good experienced people. I have some very good people in my group, and we do this very quickly. In 2 hours, if there's not much bleeding or anything, we can finish ghusl and coffin too. Yeah, but you should allow 2 to 3 hours at least, yes.
3 hours, definitely 3 hours.
3 hours is, yes, required, yeah. And in that time, we do all the necessary, whatever is required, yes. Now, on this izar, when we lay it out, what we do is, we have a bit of cotton, we cut in size, and lay it out here in pieces. This is like cotton, rui. This is rui. And we put camphor on it so that it is wrapped in the underparts so that it does not ooze or smell out. Both, one on top and then one on the bottom. And then the mayyat is laid.
It's a cotton roll sheet, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Cotton roll sheet.
Yeah. Any questions? I think sometimes you have to see one ghusl being performed.
I think it'll be best if they somehow really come one day.
Yes, yeah. If you give me your name and phone number, but The tricky part is that Mayyat don't come in the evening only and on Saturday and Sunday, you know. You get a phone call on Monday morning at 9:30 when you are really in a meeting. I have about 30, 40 names. People want to come and want to help. They're really genuine, helpful people. But you call him, I have called somebody twice on a weekday at 10 in the morning and told him, I want to do ghusl at noon. Can you come? Or after Zohar is the best time for me. Oh, no, 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 I'm at work. Can you do it in the evening? I said, no, I want to bury this guy in the afternoon. So now it's good, you know. And
so when you have, he has a list of people, so if, you know, two doesn't come, two say no, and third say
I think now I have 2 or 3 people I know I can even pull them from work.
Yeah.
And sometimes we, you know, even Maulana Sahib then has to help. But yeah, the problem is that you become, not a problem, but you become najis after ghusl, performing a ghusl. I believe in taking a ghusl Masjid-e-Ali because water goes on your face, on your head, everywhere, you know, so it's easy. Sorry?
How long is the full process?
3 hours at least. Yeah, minimum 3 hours. It depends on what it. But you see, after if a death occurs, I have to make sure that the funeral home driver is there. They're not all waiting for us to die. So you know, everything takes time. So I would say that it takes about 3 to 4 hours after death for a body to be picked up, either in the hospital or at home, and brought here in another 3-4 hours. So I'm talking for about 7-8 hour timing for picking up the body from the hospital or at home, and until the ghusl coffin is done.
You don't need the whole people there for the whole time, right? You just need the people for the.
Sorry, and I don't understand what
You
you
don't
say.
need the people for the whole period, right? You just need the people for the.
no, you only need only for those 3 hours, that's it.
Yeah.
For 3 hours to do the ghusl alone.
Ghusl,
Yeah,
ghusl.
yeah.
Ghusl and coffin is about 3
Yeah.
hours. Only for
And
those 3
yeah, and here I think there was one occasion where there's only 2 of us, and that's why we have that lift. So once the mayyat is tied on a lift, it picks up easily. You just have to pump the handle and it lifts, and then it drops wherever you want. You take it wherever you want. In fact, it happens a lot when it's a burial is next day, because we store it in the cooler at night. Next morning at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I need to check whether there's any bleeding or any coffin has become najis or anything like that. The body is parked, but has to be clean. Now, sometimes there will be so much bleeding going on that the coffin has to be replaced. So I prefer to check it by 9:30 in the morning for an afternoon burial. And that time, you know, that lift is very helpful.
Maulana or brother, you can you do you wear gloves at all, or is it just recommended for bare hands?
Sorry?
Do you wear gloves?
Yes, of course. Gloves, gown. We have gowns, we have gloves, we have aprons. It's medically required, right? Yeah. Yeah.
If you wear gloves, technically speaking, there's no ghusl Masjid-e-Ali on you, right? If you're wearing apron and if you're wearing gloves, and nowadays we are also wearing masks as well, and technically speaking, he's being on the cautious side, right? It's good. Yeah. We have a facility over here actually. We have within that ghusl khana, we have a place for you to take a shower as well. So it's not like you're stuck, oh, I can't. Well, namaz janazah, you don't really need to be pak anyway. But, if you wanted to take a ghusl right here, there's a facility into the same.
While you are washing, you have your assistant who, instead of washing the body, splashes water on you coming from the mayyat, So
now,
it has happened so many times.
Now, this table, of course, you remove the cloth and we're washing the body laying on the table.
Yeah.
Now, after the third ghusl, the table becomes pak as well. So it's not like after you remove the body and then now you have to make the table, tahir. No. Merely after the third ghusl is done, the table on its own becomes pak as well.
But here we have our own nice steel table for wash.
Yeah.
So we leave the body after wash on that, wrap it up in towels and dry it, while coffin is prepared on this one outside, and this is brought in and the body is transferred from the steel table to this mobile table and then into the box.
Because, somebody died right away and we keep him in the hospital for 10 days, 15 days to the other people come for other country to see his father and mother to other case, like Pakistan, Iran or somebody. What is the advice? We can do it the coffin or everything and keep him in the hospital, or we can keep the body? Where is the best thing with the Islam?
Hospital tells you if you remove it, that's it. You can't put it back. But here we can keep it for 2 days maybe, but not too long. I would not recommend, otherwise we pick up late from the hospital. Because mortuary temperature is different than the cooler temperature we have.
Also, the hospital will not allow you to keep the body beyond 3 to 4 hours. They want you to remove it.
Yeah, because they need the space.
They need the space. So there's no hospital that'll keep the body for 7 days or 8
Yeah.
days. Even the funeral home, they'll do it, but they'll charge you a lot of money for that. We can keep it here, like Murtaza said, because we have a cold freezer, but for a day or 2 days.
But
A day or 2 days. It is not advisable to do more than that, really.
because you see, the body has already touched water, so
Yeah.
whatever you do, it starts decomposing. You ask any doctor, he'll tell you no. Once the body is a dead person, we have had occasions here where we have had a body after 3 days. Death happened 3 days ago, and we really had to struggle to keep it in a good shape and use all the facilities.
So, but the Americans usually, when they die, they are not buried until like 2 weeks later.
For
2 months.
Formaldehyde.
2 months.
No, yeah, but because
Well, we're in a rush to do it, but they're buried.
they have the what do you call the word for removing the blood?
Oh, the embalming.
Embalming, yes. Embalming is removing the blood and pumping in formaldehyde, which
Keeps the body fresh. Huh?
yes, which looks like there's no dead blood in the system.
Yeah.
But somebody who has done this is from our community in embalming, and he said, God help you if you have to get through that, because it's an aziyat on the mayyat,
Yeah.
but it is required.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Islamically, we're not allowed to do
Islam
that.
doesn't allow. But if a mayyat if it happens, there have been cases where people want to bury somebody in Pakistan
Yeah.
or Iran or from here. Then airline will not take a body if it is decomposing, so you have to do embalming. Certified embalming, which is done here in Newark only. So you have to take that person there, they do embalming and then give it back to you, and then you wash.
Yeah.
But it's very...
Awesome.
Is not in the mustahab just putting the body in the Friday to the memorial
Sorry.
Somebody says the mustahab to put the body in the Friday to Memorial Park because everybody can come, Muslim people. Because it's Friday is off to my country, and just most of the memorial, body take care for Friday. If somebody died Tuesday, Wednesday, keep the body for Friday.
No, we don't recommend, we discourage somebody more than, if it's a weekend, yes, because maybe on a Saturday it's expensive, Sunday most of the cemeteries are closed and they want double the charge. So for that, either overnight or weekend is okay. But not that somebody dies on Tuesday just to get more people on Friday, no. Here everything works on clock. Cemetery, you have to be there now by 1:45 in the afternoon. If you are late, you pay $300 an hour overtime.
Yeah.
If you want to bury at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, you can bury in summer, but it has to be done in daylight only. There's no lights at the cemetery, if you've noticed.
Right.
There's no lights there near the gravesite.
You got to do it during the day.
During daytime. But
Okay, one last thing, if you can, Murtaza bhai,
Yes.
quickly run down the total expenses,
Yes.
Roughly,
Yeah.
from top to bottom, so that at least people have an idea, and inshallah we'll close.
Yeah, the cost of burial today is approximately $6,000 through Masjid-e-Ali. $6,000, which includes grave, $1,100 for the grave. I'm giving you general amount, $1,100 for the grave, $500 for removal. There is about $2,500 to $3,000 for the funeral home, which includes the transportation and the cement vault, which is required in New Jersey. and the funeral home and the cemetery charges $2,000 approximately for opening and closing the grave. So our budget today is about $6,000. This is what we give a quote today if somebody wants to be buried.
We had a funeral on Friday, just about 10 days ago. We ended up paying almost $8,000 because if you want to bury, like Murtaza said, the cemetery now, they keep adding charges. If you give them less than 24-hour notice, there's a $400 surcharge. If you bring them after 2 o'clock, there's a $300 surcharge. If you tell them that you're bringing at 3, but you bring it at 5, there's an additional $300 surcharge. They keep adding and adding and adding.
Yeah, because they are in business.
They're in business of doing that. So it's about a good, anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. That's what I would think.
At Masjid here, $6,000 if you give us the time and follow our timetable. But beyond that, if you say parwa ille, then you can do whatever you want.
Before I end, just so you know that any place that provides the service, not just here at Masjid, Baitul Qaim or other places where they provide the service, is free of cost. So the center itself does not charge anything. All of these are genuine charges. The grave that you purchase, the transportation by the funeral home, bringing the body, because we can't carry the body around in our car. It's illegal. You need to hire. Opening and the closing of the grave. All of these are the genuine charges that are charged, and nothing to the center. Nothing goes to the center. All the services are provided gratis, free of charge, from keeping into the cooler. Of course, manpower, as we said, it's wajib, so we can't charge for that anyway. And keeping the place open and all that stuff, everything is absolutely free of cost. Only cost that is occurring to you is all these charges that Murtaza ran down.
Even the tabarruk we provide here is provided by a donor.
MashaAllah.
We have a standing order. I have a standing order from one family only, which says, do whatever you need, just let me know. And there have been some burials which have been very expensive, but no questions. So everything is provided by the masjid.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for all of you attending, and as well as our online viewers. It was very helpful and informative. Loud nara salawat for our volunteers, especially Murtaza bhai. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. I'll conclude with this dua. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم صل على محمد وآله الأطهار.